All right, here we go. Um, yeah, we're here.
We're here
Happy to have you in the studio.
in the
actually,
podcast studio. It's honestly really nice. Like I guess I don't really know what I was expecting, but I came in here and they have like the full studio lighting set up and like actual audio.
you're the second guest here. You're the first guest with all the new stuff we just put in.
Who was the first guest?
Jack Scans,
Oh yeah,
episode
good.
20.
That was a good podcast.
Yeah, we had a good time.
I just
We
finished
laughed a
that
lot.
actually last night.
What was your favorite part of that one?
I don't know, just like the banter. You know what I mean? Like y'all just have good chemistry together.
Yeah. We we had a fun time with that podcast. We could have gone on for like 3 hours if we really wanted to, but we decided to
Didn't have enough studio time.
stick with the 1.5 at that most. So, but dude, yeah, happy to have you here. Happy you came to visit.
It's good to be
Enjoying
here.
some Florida living.
Oh, the Babs is hosting me at his girlfriend's house, and it's been fun. I like coming down to Tampa.
Yeah, we got the crib set up for the peeps, and we're having a good time.
Oh yeah, making quarantine moves.
Wow, we're no longer in quarantine here.
Yeah,
so
we're just in
we're
civil
regular
unrest.
state. We're legally allowed to be out.
Yeah.
Here in our state. As for everybody else, I don't know what's going on with them. And then yeah, you kind of nailed that one. That's what's happening right now.
I think most states are actually out of quarantine now. I think from my understanding, it's like New Mexico where Lil Ryan is, and Michigan are like, even Michigan I think is starting to open up, but pretty much everyone in like some way, shape, or form is starting to like come back to some realm of normalcy.
It's quite amazing.
I mean, it's,
No, I'm just saying. I mean, like, it's good to just be back to normal. I mean, it was weird. It's very weird how we've gone from like the coronavirus to where we are now.
oh
With
yeah, how convenient.
everything happening. I mean, yeah. Well, hey, you gotta stand up for what you believe in. But crazy stuff that's happening that they're doing out there, and
Oh, dude, about 20 miles from where we are right now, people are like stealing police horses and joyriding SWAT
I saw
tanks.
the
and
vehicle. I mean, the video. The video. Oh yeah, I saw the video with
You
them
also
on the
saw the
vehicle.
vehicle.
Yeah, I saw the vehicle. They took that freaking armored vehicle.
Dude, that's what I don't understand is how do the SWAT team what do they just leave the keys in and like go for a stroll down the block?
Yeah,
Like, how does that?
Someone had to have
materialize?
lost their job.
Oh, 100, dude. I mean, so many cops have already lost their job, which I mean is kind of a good thing to see that like
Some reform is occurring.
yeah, it's a good way to like I guess kind of like mediate all the anger that people are having, because it's like, oh, if you fire the bad cops, people are like, all right, they're doing something, like they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, the one who seems to have stepped up a lot is the Atlanta police chief.
She is a savage. I'm not even gonna lie. She's had the most like balanced take on all this, to where she's at the point where she's like, stop destroying stuff, but she was literally like out there marching with the protesters.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was her or another one, but was like, we'll let you march, but the second like they came out and just said like the second stuff starts getting destroyed, like we have to step in.
She was like, yeah, that's like literally my job. Like I'm literally the police chief. But she's like, I mean, that's the cool thing, is because people are always like want a black woman to be in a position of power, and I feel like the police chief of Atlanta being a black woman, that's like one of the most like representative things of like what Atlanta's about. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
that's perfect. Like that's
I love Atlanta and just how like it's just a city in the middle of the state. Like it just makes no sense. If you know Georgia, like I don't live in Georgia or anything like that, but I'm near it and I've driven through it, and it's like it's just it makes no sense as to why it's there and why it's so big. But it's like you're driving, there's nothing, and all of a sudden it's just like boom, Atlanta.
like
And then it's huge, and it's this big ass city, and it's bigger than I think anything we have here in Florida.
Oh, dude, it's the biggest
And
city in the southeast, I'm pretty sure.
I would not be surprised by that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty big. And
It's like big, and it's diverse, and it's like widespread out. Like there's all different sides of town. Like, you know how kind of like when you're in Miami and you're downtown, you like see all the buildings and stuff, but then you look off in the distance and it's almost like there's like another city like on the outskirts.
Mhm.
That's how
Yeah.
Atlanta is. Like when I'm in downtown Atlanta, like I'll look up to the north and I'll look to the south, and there's like other little cities.
Yeah,
with,
they have like North
big-ass
Atlanta
skyscrapers.
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't know how to
forget
describe it like
what's
that.
what's it called? There's like the bougie ass part of north of Atlanta. I forget what it's called, but it's like you could see that stuff, and you could just. It's nice though, but it's I feel like it's kind of poised to like blow up in the next couple years too. Like it's it's gonna be like a Chicago or a New York. It's like the New York of the South now. Like
The
that's
New York of the South.
it is, bro.
Ooh,
Especially
I
for
like
music
that.
and stuff. Like it's legit the hub for rap music right now. Like who would have thought after? I know it's like super off topic, but like who would have thought after Los Angeles and New York and just California in general being like these hot spots for rap music and just kind of like music in general. And now it's like this random city in the South with almost like not a lot of cultural relevancy before all these people just start popping out and it becomes like this like
Huge
commerce. It becomes a
hip-hop
commerce
hub.
center, a hip hop hub. It's like
They've been
just like a
starting doing
culture-
like movies and stuff there.
Oh,
Like
dude, they
The
shot
Walking Dead
Ozark.
was there.
They shot Ozark in Georgia. Do you know that?
No, I did not.
Dude, so this is funny. No spoilers, but because I looked it up because I've always known about the Lake of the Ozarks because I have a buddy in Missouri and he goes there during his summers.
That's
and
awesome.
He always tells me how much fun it is. And I was looking up because I saw the scene in the first season where they pull up and they're like on that big cliff, like overlooking the water. I'm like, this looks sick. I look it up. I'm like, where was Ozark filmed? And it's at some I forget what it's called, but it's some lake just north of Atlanta. It's like it looks exactly the same on the map, but none of that was shot in Missouri.
That's gotta check and make sure people can hear us. Dude, but that's crazy because there's a lot that goes on in Atlanta now that like filming wise. I mean, The Walking Dead was filmed all over there.
All of it, yeah. I remember the first season, which is what really pulled me into The Walking Dead, was when they had those crazy like apocalyptic downtown scenes, and it looked crazy in Atlanta, like
that's a show that's gone on
far too
long.
far too long. It's like one of those shows that we're gonna be like 45 years old, and it's like The Walking Dead's in season 26. Like when? Who commissioned this?
I mean, technically, like it is one of those shows though that could go on forever, just be given like the nature of the show. Like technically, there is no ending. They don't have the cure yet, so it's like, all right,
that's true.
But yeah, I wouldn't want to see. I mean, I like the fact that you could follow a like zombie apocalypse thing for more than a movie. Like you go and see a movie, a zombie apocalypse movie, and it's kind of like you get there's a ending at the end, but they don't kill anybody. Like they haven't killed off all the zombies.
Yeah,
they just survived, and that's it. That's the end of the movie.
You kind of have to compress
Boom.
it into 2 hours.
And and it doesn't give a full like apocalyptic theme. Whereas like a show can kind of really embrace that and take it forward and like go on the run with it and show you like different aspects of the apocalypse, and this is how they've done this and this, and then now they're starting to rebuild society and blah blah blah, and then it could finally end. But I think that's way better than a movie, at least. Like at first 6 seasons, maybe even the 7th.
How many are there now?
Oh, that's a
there
great
could be 12
question. We should definitely look that up right now.
There could literally be 12. Yeah, look that up. There could literally be 12 Walking Dead seasons for all I know.
And we have no idea.
I feel like after a certain point in that show, when they killed off some of the cool characters, like that. Spoiler alert! I don't know if people haven't seen the first 3 seasons of The Walking Dead yet, but that old dude with the gray beard,
Herschel,
and Herschel, and then that other like kind of like redneck.
There's 10 seasons, bro.
Oh my god, exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's got an 81 on Rotten Tomatoes, though. That's not that bad.
Oh, and they've got 5 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead. I've heard that's good. I haven't seen any of that yet.
I saw that being advertised. I think it was on Netflix, and it was like kind of seems more cartoony. You know what I mean? But
it's not cartoony, no, because it takes place prior. It starts out like when everything's going down. So you know how in The Walking Dead, so in The Walking Dead, it's just like they're in the apocalypse. That's it.
Yeah,
they're just in it.
Like
You're just
he
dove
literally
in.
wakes up in the apocalypse. Like there's no.
So instead of that, it's this. It starts out like I think the first 2 seasons, first 2 episodes are like L.A. like people rioting and like things are like starting to get bad. They don't know what's going on, and
like
then
now.
But with zombies, it's like but with zombies.
Dude, that's the next step in 2020 is we're gonna go from these riots, and it's either gonna go straight into UFOs or zombies, one or the other. And
I feel like UFOs is what's gonna really happen. Because that's creepy sound. I gotta go back to that. Those creepy sounds we on the videos in Texas.
I wish we could play that video right now, but it's literally. Dude, when Matt kind of tripped me out when he said it might be the wind, but I was thinking about it. I was literally laying in my bed, couldn't sleep last night, thinking about that.
Dude, that
video.
noise is so creepy.
It sounds like something from like
I could probably pull up the
from
Twitter.
like District 9 or something like that. What's that other one? Cloverfield. Like when the aliens come in, you can't really see them through the whole movie, but it's just like implied that they're there.
Yeah.
You just see like their shadows and their noises. Like,
let me see if I can pull up this Twitter. We can tell people to go to it. I got it right here.
Just play the volume.
I guess I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, just play the volume, and it's basically what it is it's like a bunch of different people took these videos somewhere in Texas. Yeah, he just played the volume.
That's the noise.
Sounds like a banshee.
Scream. It's so freaking loud, and it's coming from up in the air, like up there.
We can hear it again.
It's been going on now.
That was it. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but yeah.
That sounds like a mix between like a
it's-
banshee and the purge
It's
alarm.
a very weird sound. I don't like it.
What do you think it could be? Like, what's your best guess if you had to make an educated guess on what that would be?
Dude, it reminds me of like a giant like flying dragon. Obviously, it's not
Oh,
what it is, but
yeah,
imagine like if that was what it came out of the sky.
It's
It's just like,
Khaleesi on her dragon. Just,
yeah, bro, that's what it reminds me of. Not like this stuff, but I mean, shoot, man,
It's a giant
creepy.
invisible dragon. That's the new enemy in 2020 that we're gonna have to defeat. Are the giant
An invisible dragon.
giant invisible dragons
Can't
from
be
the
destroyed by
Netherrealm.
fire. There's some movie about dragons. They like digging in like the earth, they're like digging down in the core, and they wake up a bunch of dragons.
What is that
and,
called? That's a good movie.
And they can't kill them. They
Of
can't
course
be.
you can't.
They can't kill him. But they end up killing one in the end, but they can't kill. They couldn't kill him with like certain weapons. They had to do it like creatively.
Yeah. It's like in what's it called, Lord of the Rings, when the only way that you could kill the beast in Mordor is like you have to like arrow him perfectly in that one like weak spot because his scale fell off.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
and with that specific arrow they had.
Yeah, they had like that one. It's like the silver bullet arrow. That's honestly like that wouldn't surprise me if that's the next thing to come in 2020. Like that's honestly kind of this. All right, this is kind of a heady question. So
Let's get it.
so, and I know this doesn't apply to everything, but for a lot of things, like even like urban legends and myths and stuff like that, they usually have some basis in reality. Like even if it's been greatly exaggerated and like through the telephone game of time,
Right.
it's been restructured to be whatever it is now. Like I guess you could say Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster, dragons, whatever it may be. A lot of those things are usually based in some sort of reality at some point. So what do you think was you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Just like rumors,
in a
there's
sense,
usually like
yeah.
a grain of truth to every rumor. But it's like, what do you think was the basis for this whole dragon thing? Because ever since, or even in early cultures, you could see like cave
Depictions of-
petroglyphs
yeah.
of dragons, and medieval culture that was a huge thing about like all people fearing dragons and stuff like that. It's just always been a part of lore. So what do you think is what is it, just like giant flying dinosaurs?
But what if
or
it wasn't even flying? What if it was just like a giant lizard?
like a giant Komodo dragon?
Yeah, but 35 feet long, and they were
Dude,
hard
that's
to kill.
that's not the worst guess, because if like you Komodo dragons, they like spit that acidic venom that burns people and stuff, and they're
I thought they like when they bit down is when the venom got in.
maybe I'm pretty sure they get.
Because there's that one lizard that's the one that shoots it. It's the one that pops out like
Oh,
the
the one
dinosaur.
from Jurassic Park.
Just like that, yeah. But there's a smaller one that does that. There's a small one that can run really fast and just like
Yeah, he runs on his back legs.
Yeah,
like
and
like
yeah.
a basilisk.
Mhm.
And
yeah, it's a lizard. And it's going nuts.
see, that's a perfect example of that. It's like all these like folklore things have some sort of like grounding in like biological reality. Like where do you draw the line?
Dude, mine is the mermaid thing. Like I want to know that one
Ooh, dude, have you ever been?
because
we were
there's
just
a
talking
ton
about
of shit about mermaids.
Oh yeah, people think they found mermaids. Have you been to Silver Springs before, where they have all those mermaids?
Silver Springs. Wait.
That's
why
not
do
far
I-
from here. It's Silver Springs. It's like kind of by Ocala. It's like on the way.
Oh
to Tampa.
yeah, like Wiki Watchy area and stuff.
Wikiwachi
Yeah.
Springs.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have
yeah.
all those mermaids that they're like trained to hold their breath for like 4 minutes at a time. And you go like
Just
in this
wait.
underground basement, and through this glass wall, like through this glass window, you look at
Yeah.
them like maneuvering deep in this like clear spring,
cave
doing,
and
like,
cavern. Yeah,
doing mermaid stuff.
supposedly.
Supposedly,
It's a cool thing. Take your kids, have fun.
And then they also have the herpes-infested wild monkeys there now.
I didn't know about that.
You didn't know about that? So here's another trippy one. So I don't remember when it was. I think it was the 1940s or 50s. Some crazy entrepreneur tried to turn the Silver Springs Wikiwachi Park into some sort of Animal Kingdom Disney style like.
I didn't know.
And they have
This
this
is awesome.
isolated island in the springs that you can obviously only reach by swimming across the water.
Yeah.
So he thought he was going to buy all these, I don't remember, I think they're like macaw monkey. I don't remember what they are, but these smaller monkeys.
Right.
He imported them from Africa and then set like 14 of them loose. And he
on this island.
on this little island in this like isolated in these springs. And then what he didn't expect was these monkeys started dominating their environment, and they had no natural predators. So they all started growing bigger, and then they all started reproducing like crazy. So now there's hundreds of these monkeys, and they learned how to swim, and they swam across from the island to the mainland, and now they're loose all over Florida. And I think 75% of them have herpes. And now they've been spotted in like the neighborhood I grew up in, Jacksonville.
That's hysterical.
Swinging
I
through
did not
the
know this.
bro.
We call them monkey.
Look, if you find a picture of it, just look up herpes infested monkeys.
That's what I was gonna do.
And people are like, don't go near them because not only are they aggressive because they're like infected, but they have herpes and they're
it comes up right away.
Dude, it's a big, it's a big. Look at them. Those are the monkeys. See, they released them in Silver Springs Park. And now if you go to Wekiwachi Springs, sometimes you can catch the monkeys swimming across the water to the mainland.
Google's top article from The Guardian is Florida visitors who might be going to Silver Spring State Parks have been warned that they may encounter an unusual threat. Hundreds of wild, herpes-infected monkeys. And that's the start of the article.
Dude,
so funny.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Florida is a giant experiment, pretty much. We're a giant biological experiment where all these drug dealers and traffickers and just rich people that don't give a fuck imported all these wild animals, realized that, oh my god, turns out I can't care for a 32-foot anaconda, and then they dump
the snake
them in
one
the
is the
Everglades.
worst.
Oh,
They're just destroying, they're wreaking havoc in the Everglades.
Alligators.
They're oh yeah. We've seen there's videos on YouTube of that. If you guys haven't seen it, I can't pull it up here, but like there's tons of like videos of these anacondas like just engulfing full alligators.
And then they'll split open because their stomach's not big enough to hold the alligator. It's like you'll see an anaconda that's like split open like this, and you see the alligator tail sticking out of it. You're like, do we live in Jurassic Park?
It's crazy. And they'll give you like $1,600 like a skin
to kill them.
Kill them, and it's full season. You can go out and kill them. There's no like, oh, you gotta wait till this and this time. It's like no, vermin. anytime you want, you can kill them. But they're so freaking hard to track. That's the thing.
100. Dude, you think I'm gonna go in knee deep swampy water in the Everglades with my buckshot shotgun and just hope?
You gotta hope you come across a trail on land, because once they get in the water, it's done. You can't find that shit.
Oh, 100%. Humans are not adept to be suitable for these like marshy swampland environments. Like we're not meant for that. Like when it comes to alligators, anacondas, they even have poisonous frogs now in the Everglades.
I didn't know that.
They have poisonous dart frogs that people release because apparently that's a cool pet that people want to have.
There needs to be like, why can't they just limit what people get pet wise? Some pets it's just a
the
little
thing
ridiculous.
It is illegal. It's all drug trafficking.
That's true. Because Miami,
you
and all
watch
that
Tiger
shit.
King, right?
I actually did not see it. No, I know it's huge. I know it's big, but no, I haven't seen it myself.
One of the characters is like a huge animal trafficker and I guess drug trafficker too, and he's in South Florida somewhere near Miami. And obviously he had tons of lions and tigers and stuff, but he also had like every exotic animal you could imagine. And he's like, yeah, people I work for and stuff just had to, when they get too big and you sell them to people and they don't want them anymore, you just bring them to the Everglades and you just dump them off there.
Oh my god, that's ridiculous.
Like it's some like statewide receptacle for
animals,
non-indigenous animals.
Dude, someone's gonna put a tiger in there one day and it's gonna survive.
Oh, 100%, dude. Some tiger is gonna go and be the alpha of the Everglades. We gotta slide down there, honestly.
The Everglades?
Dude, go on one of those airboats.
Airboat tours are pretty cool. I mean, it's weird how like down in South Florida you have like on the coast you have like there's like on our side, on the east side, sorry, I'm trying to think. On the east coast, it's literally like an 8-mile, maybe 10-mile stretch of land from the ocean to the Everglades, and they just packing people in, man. Bro. It's so crowded.
It's so dense.
So dense, and it's so crowded, and then it's just boom, the Everglades, and there's nothing they can do. They can't build. They can't do anything there.
No, it's literally impossible.
Oh, it's impossible.
That's why I kind of like your side of Florida, like Southwest, like Tampa, Sarasota, Fort Myers, like Cape Coral, Naples, all that area, because it's like you got like the cool natural stuff, the nice Gulf beaches, but it's not like super dense, like sardines.
Not yet. I mean, our area is kind of dense, but then when you go down south, it's not. I know they're building more and more, but like Fort Myers, all the area is nice. It's really pristine and all that, but not a lot of young people down there. A lot of older people escaping everybody. But yeah, and then there's a lot of land there, and then it's the Everglades. Whereas the other side, it's like everyone's just on this small strip of land and just like crowded in and like, oh yeah, we're in the Miami, we're living in Miami, it's phenomenal,
it's lit,
it's awesome, it's lit, and
I'm from Miami.
It's literally just,
I mean, it's honestly like Miami. I know I just said Atlanta's like the New York of the South, but if any other place I've ever been to reminds me of New York as far as like culture goes, it's definitely Miami.
Miami's so interesting and intriguing because it's like they built the city and it's like super big in hospitality, but then it's also gotten super big because of just like the drug trade that went through
Oh,
there.
dude, there is zero industry there besides tourism. Like,
Yeah.
what's crazy
Oh,
is
yeah.
Miami is less than 100 years old. Miami was founded less than 100 years ago.
It's
And if you go
huge.
there, you drive and you see all these tall buildings. You're like, wow, there must be a lot of infrastructure here. And then you're like, oh my God, all of these are
They're
hotels.
all hotels.
They're
It's so weird.
all hotels.
That's the other thing I've always said about Miami that's different is like it doesn't give you a big city feel. Like when you go to Miami, I don't get a sense that I'm in a big city because you know everything. It's like, oh, a Marriott, another Marriott, a Holiday Inn,
Bigger
a
Marriott.
bigger Marriott. All right, like it's just all these different, a Hilton, like it's all these different hotels, and they're just all cluttered throughout the city, and there's nothing else there. There's no, but it looks big, and at first glance you might be like, oh, it's a big city,
Yeah.
but then when you get in it, I've never felt in my life that it was a big city, quote unquote.
Like I
Like
said
it's big and it's got a lot of big buildings, but it's not like a New York City where it's like these buildings, there's people living in these buildings, there's businesses in these buildings, like, but it's not. That's not how it is in Miami.
It's dense, but at the same time, like it's like I said, it's just so diverse. Like it's crazy. Like when we went to Ultra, I stayed in Hialeah, and I loved it down there. But then it's crazy. Like you could drive 20 minutes and you're in Pembroke Pines, and it's like all nice houses and like super upscale and everything. And then you go further down south, and you're in like Little Haiti and stuff like that. Like it's a real like, it's by far the most diverse place in Florida, and that's why I think it's so crazy that with the coronavirus, they were like the one city in Florida that went super hard on it. Like early, they snuffed that shit out.
They did. But even before the governor started,
But that's what's crazy to me is because they're so reliant on tourism and just like the hospitality industry in general. Like I feel like they must have took a huge hit.
I wonder what the stats on that are. I don't know, but they did. They shut that down early, and they even like I think they'd even like deployed troops there.
I mean, the
like,
mayor
was like,
was super like no nonsense about it because I know because I was just looking. I know the Keys just reopened, and the Keys are in like an even more like that because they are pretty much 100%. They're like 99% dependent on hospitality and tourism. The other 1% is like fishing or something like that, but. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that's true. It's true. The Keys are so nice. I've only been once.
Dude, I've never been before. This is gonna be my first time.
It's
what should
beautiful.
I do?
What's
what's the play?
The thing is like you're down in you're kind of almost in a sense in like the Caribbean because it's right on the tip. It's at and it's just very. You gotta do a lot of ocean stuff, man. You gotta be willing to be out there on the boat, and that's like the main stuff to do. Like it's not. I wouldn't even call it the beach because there are little islands and they have beaches, but I just don't think of them as like beach places. They're mainly like when I was there, we were out on the boat like every day. Whether you're fishing, we did tubing for like 2 days in a row. Like that was fun as fuck.
What were you on Key West or?
We did one of the other islands.
Key Largo or?
It was Key Largo or what's the one that starts with an M?
Middle Key maybe.
Here we go.
I don't know. We're camping in Long Key Beach State Park, which is just like one of the kind of like negligible ones in between Key Largo and Key West. Oh, Marathon.
Yep, that was it. Thank you. Yep, that's right.
That's where my dad's trying to move. He loves it. He says he loves it there.
Yeah, it was beautiful. We we stayed with some family friends and like enjoyed it, and it was awesome. There's some cool stuff in there. There's like the fort, not a Marathon, but in the Keys, I think there's like an old fort and stuff like that.
Oh,
you can go
dude,
to and stuff like that.
It's
you know what I'm talking about. You've seen the video and stuff.
It's called Dry Tortugas National Park, and it's I don't know if we're thinking about the same one, but this is like the most look up Dry Tortugas National Park. So I think it's like 80 miles west of Key West. So you have to take a ferry, and they have a ferry that leaves twice a day to go there. And it used to be like an old prison where
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Dry Tortugas, and they have like some of the most like preserved natural coral reefs and like subtropical.
Yeah, and it's just this big fort like.
Yeah, and you got to take a 2-hour ferry ride off of Key West.
Like people just chill. People just swimming in front of the prison.
Dude, it's and they took funny story. They took the John Wilkes Booth and his co-conspirators that assassinated Abraham Lincoln. That's where they held them for questioning. That was the last thing that it was really used for before they basically.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, before they basically vacated it.
That's a cool thing. If you guys want to look that up while we're talking about this, this is a Dry Tortuga National Park in the Keys, and it's literally just this old prison. Looks like an old Spanish fort on an island. That's it. It's just the fort and then the island.
It was like a naval outpost
nothing else there
at one point, but
I could see that.
Dude, I've been
Cuba.
I've been getting crazy into national parks lately. That's been like my new obsession.
We have so many beautiful ones here that we don't.
Bro.
A lot of people don't take advantage of.
Dude, I never realized how popular they were. Like people really travel internationally to go to these national parks, and there's just so much to do, and it's it's so nice because they're all so isolated from society, and it's like you're going there and every single one, like none of them disappoint. You're like, because we've basically isolated the greatest parts of the natural United States and just been like, no one can fuck this up.
Yeah,
Not allowed to
who
fuck
was it
this
that
up.
Theodore Roosevelt?
Theodore Roosevelt, he started the national park system. I think it was like Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah, he was a
National Park.
genius because that stuff is.
Oh, dude,
I
he's
mean, even the pictures of it is beautiful. I want to go see it all in person, but that's some like treasured gems in the U.S. that like I feel we as Americans don't go and see a lot. Like there's not a lot, and we don't take like them into account for how beautiful and amazing they actually are, and because people don't go to them that much. Like you don't know that many people that go to them. I mean, I know people that said like always want to go to the Grand Canyon, but like,
but who does?
But who does?
That's why when I go to Vegas, I'm like, I want to hit Zion National Park, I want to hit Grand Canyon. It's like when you're in proximity to these things,
you gotta
like,
go.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
The problem is one day isn't enough. Like we spent 3 days at one national park, and I felt like I barely scratched the surface of like the things.
I'd have to agree with that. It's because they're massive. Like you don't think they're as big as they are, but they really are massive. Especially because it's no infrastructure. It's just straight up terrain, and you're hiking and walking through this stuff, and it's just like it's way bigger than you think. Like I can't imagine being the first explorers. We were talking about the other day about being like Lewis and Clark and like walking through. Like, dude, the continent must have felt huge, dude, humongous, bigger than anything they've ever seen in their life. They were like, holy shit, this land is crazy.
Dude, we think it's crazy to drive across the country right now to do a cross-country road trip. Imagine doing a cross-country by foot trip and you don't know where you're going. You have no idea,
you have no
where
idea where you're going. You're just
like
hoping you end up.
You start on the Atlantic Ocean and then you eventually just hit another ocean. You're like, did I just walk around the world?
They probably thought.
Like they're meeting all these Native Americans, and what's crazy is, to me, my favorite part of the United States, like topographically, is out west, like all the cool deserts and like the Southwest and stuff. So like they're used to like American Eastern society thought the Appalachian Mountains were like the big crazy mountains. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like these are the huge towering foothills in Tennessee and North Carolina, and then you go west and you hit the Rockies, and you're like, oh my god, like what did we just find?
They're double the size of anything in the Appalachians.
Oh, dude, and then you get to California and you find Oregon and Washington and like
we have these beautiful like forests and
alpine forests
and stuff like that. Just gorgeous.
Oh, what I would give to be Lewis or Clark.
I don't know about that, but.
Oh, dude, they're legends. They're legends.
I guess
like
that's true.
The backpacking hiking community, Lewis and Clark are like the mecca. Like, because there's like very few. What's crazy is we could still do that. Like, there's parts of the world that are completely unexplored.
True.
You could be that guy.
I mean, yeah. You could backpack through a lot of places as well.
Like Myanmar and parts of Papua New Guinea are completely like still untouched.
Aren't there tribes in Papua New Guinea?
Oh, dude, there's cannibalistic tribes in Papua New Guinea that not only eat their babies, but they do these crazy circumcision rituals, and they're like, dude, there's like
Joe Rogan talks about one of them.
Oh yeah, Joe Rogan's big into the I forget what the tribe's called, but it's crazy how like close in proximity it is to New Zealand and Australia, and these are like first class world societies that with like global economic powerhouses. And just 180 miles away, there's people basically living in the Stone Age, eating each other with no electricity.
Yeah, it is, especially because of like how civilized Australia is and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure.
And then they've got those people there, like
all those Pacific islands out there. Some of them are like French Polynesia and all that stuff. Those are Fiji. Those are all like bucket list travel.
Fiji. Oh yeah, I'd go to Fiji. I'd go to Fiji in a second.
Water.
Fiji water.
That's like an influencer's like wet dream.
I don't like Fiji. I hate that brand.
Oh, bro, you're messing up. Have you seen where they do the alkaline tests, where they're basically doing alkaline and pH testing for all the Boozy Badass did it. He took all the major water brands, like he took Smart Water, Fiji Water, and Fiji water had the best pH. It's Wealth Water.
All right, I'll give you a chance. I'll give it a chance.
That Wealth Water.
I take back my statement. I've learned something new.
It's too expensive.
It's crazy how people can learn something new and then change their opinion.
I know, isn't that crazy?
God,
it's almost like almost like that's the right thing.
It's almost like we as a society have forgotten that's possible.
I know.
Not to get into it, but there you go. That's our tidbit for the day. You guys have learned something. You can change your opinion once you learn something.
You should change your opinion. It's like if you're not married to your beliefs. You know what I mean? Like your beliefs are fluid, and that's why, especially in politics, people always get mad. They're like, "Oh, you're flip flopping positions. You're flip flopping positions." It's like that's the scientific way of thinking about things, is that when you discover new information that contradicts your belief, you adjust your beliefs to what.
But okay, I'm gonna interject there because I think
Please
that's
do.
a tad bit different when like people are flip-flopping to get votes versus flip-flopping
no.
because they understand something different. There's an
Yeah.
entirely different thing.
Yeah. No,
And
I
a lot
agree.
of the times I think the media, even though someone might be sincere about, oh, I've learned something and I want to switch it over, they still twist it to where it looks like, oh,
I was
that
right.
candidate is flip-flopping.
Oh yeah.
And for votes, not for like legitimate reasons.
Yeah, because I guess partially it scares people because they want to vote for the idea is they want to vote for a static candidate, that their policies that they present to them in the running period, they want to know that they'll fulfill those, because that's always the biggest thing that people complain about presidents, like, oh, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. They didn't do what they said they were
very
going to
true.
do. But
very
it's kind of
true.
hard. That's the problem on the campaign trail. You say something, it's almost like you're becoming married to that statement, like you're indebted to whatever the promises you gave to everybody.
I don't think if I was president, people wouldn't like me.
Oh, dude,
I think I would be.
It's the hardest job in the world.
I think just because like I would never, if like what I said to get in, and then if I like that's just how I am. If I did learn something, I would just be like, well, guess what? Like we're not doing that anymore.
Dude, you have to.
Like sorry, but that's not how it works.
No, that's not how it works because that's not what people want. You know what I mean? People want to affirm their confirmation bias in any way possible. That's why people exist in these echo chambers where they'll just surround themselves with people that are all like-minded. And it's like sometimes you gotta. Some of my favorite people in life are people that I completely disagree with, like on moral, political, social issues. But it's just good to have that, like, just see another side of things.
I absolutely agree. I love when I am able to sit down with somebody and even if I don't or if you don't agree with them, and we can chat about it and like each see each other's perspective
cordially
and
like,
come out of it with like a little bit more of an understanding of each side. And sometimes it's like, oh, you know what? I never looked at it that way. I'm kind of with you now.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've learned something new, and you've expanded your knowledge, and now you've gotten something new out of it. Either way, you both take something away when you're. Oh yeah, you got a call. Just take the call. You're good.
You go monologue mode real quick.
No, you can just pause it real quick. Well, we're not gonna pause it. We'll just leave it out later. But is anybody tuning into the live stream right now? Anybody?
You can just pause it.
No, we'll just edit it out later. Don't worry about it.
All right. Sorry about that. Short and sweet to the point.
Oh, my YouTube isn't working. It's okay. We have one viewer.
Nice.
What's up? That or it's me.
It's definitely you on Twitch. I fell for that pitfall for a while too. I'd be like, I remember when I was streaming games, I'd be like, yo, someone's watching, and I'm like, oh, that's me. I fell for that pitfall for a while too. I'd be like, I remember when I was streaming games, I'd be like, yo, someone's watching.
We know the audio's working.
Audio sounds crisp. Crispy.
That's annoying. Why? That's annoying.
Okay.
What were we saying though? I don't remember.
You don't even remember.
We're back.
I think we were just going on some little political spiel that's probably not all that interesting. But
let's move on.
Yeah, what else? What else should
There's
we
so
do?
much more interesting stuff.
There's already too much of that everywhere today.
In other news, sports is back,
Oh,
baby.
bro, don't
Sports
you-
is back. From what they've announced. Yes.
Yes, the NBA is back in. I
Do the
think
Crystalia less. Yes.
20. I think what is it? 28 days or 38 days or something like that. NBA is going to start their new format, and I am overjoyed. This is the best news I could have ever gotten today because I've been much more productive now that there's no sports, but I've just been trying to fill the void with. I've been watching NASCAR and stuff like that. Like
NASCAR was the first back. They were
Oh,
living
dude.
up that shit. They were
because
loving
they're
it.
in cars. Like
I mean, yeah, they could do it. The
I-
UFC was back pretty quick.
Oh, dude, because Dana White's a savage. He literally went and built a fight island, and now they're gonna go on this subtropical island and have fights in it, like it's some movie or something. Like that doesn't even seem like a real
Thing.
Who does that? No, but the UFC, what's crazy is that's the one sport that came back first, and that probably has the highest chance of giving someone the coronavirus. You're literally bleeding all over them.
Yeah, I mean they do
They
test
tested
everybody.
And someone tested
they-
positive.
They did
And
cancel
and
that fight.
Yeah, and they dropped him from the card.
and they had to test all the trainers and everything with them and all that. It's
Yeah, it's
crazy stuff. But I mean, regardless, sports is back, or at least some of them.
Yeah,
we
and
got
I
the
know
NBA.
the MLB also just announced that they're going to have some sort of plan where they're going to shorten the season. They discussed playing the games either actually down here at some of the spring training facilities.
Yeah, because we're
full.
open, completely open.
Yeah, and I think Arizona out in the middle of nowhere where they do the American League spring training out there. They're considering, or I don't even know who plays out there, but somewhere in the bumfuck nowhere in Arizona.
It's like the Pineapple League and the SunTrust League.
Yeah, it's
Because
I know the Mets play in Port St. Lucie, so that's where I always go down. But I know y'all have the Yankees and the Blue Jays, and I think someone else down here. And then football is apparently planning on proceeding as usual. They said they're refusing to have games without fans.
Of course, the NFL would say that.
Roger Goodell just wants that bank.
He wants that bank.
That
Yeah, absolutely.
bank.
It's the Cactus League out in
the
Arizona, and the Grapefruit League in
like
good old
it.
Florida. I'm about it. It sounds good.
I mean, we just got to bring sports back in some capacity. Like, even who cares if there's no crowd? I mean, I think watching the UFC fights with no crowds was like a super interesting spin on it because you could hear everything their cornermen were saying. You could hear the pops from the punches.
Mm-hmm.
You could hear the mat rattling when you slam people. Like, it was. But I feel like some sports don't lend themselves well to that. Like the NBA is going to be so obnoxious without fans. Just
Yeah,
squeak,
I wouldn't like that at all.
squeak, squeak,
I wouldn't like that at all. I wouldn't watch the NBA in general. I for sure wouldn't watch it without fans.
squeak, squeak.
It's the only way you can get into it. Everyone's like jumping up and going crazy after a three or something like that. Like that's what gets people
NBA
into
fans
it.
are hype.
They are. I will give you that. Every time I've gone to a basketball game, I have a fun time. But I'm not super into basketball as I am with other sports. Hockey's back. I'm ecstatic
Ooh.
about hockey.
Is it when?
being
Yeah, when
back.
is that? What's the plan with
I don't know what the exact day is, but what they're doing is like a 20-team playoff. They're just going straight to playoffs.
Yeah, kind of like NBA's doing.
Yeah, they're just saying done with the regular season, straight to playoffs, and it's 4 teams get the first week bye, and then the other 8 kind of duke it out, and then to get it down to 8.
I mean, the NHL already has a ton of. I mean, they're kind of formatted exactly the same way the NBA is, right? Where they run like concurrently. They have basically the same season, same schedule, same amount of games, same playoff format. Like they're pretty much identical.
New playoff format came up right away. Here we go. The NHL will move 24 teams conference-based postseason format to approve. They approved it. 2014 playoff.
Oh my gosh.
So I was wrong with that.
What are there? 30 teams or 32?
Yeah, I think there's only 32.
Imagine being the 8 teams that don't get into the playoff, and you're like, we literally, even with an
no.
expanded playoff, we can't make it in. Like that's when you just gotta. Like, what are the worst NHL teams?
Trying to remember that. Oh, these are all videos.
Dude, the Panthers suck, right? The Miami Panthers.
They've been in and out.
I'm trying to think.
They call themselves the Florida Panthers.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm trying to remember who was bad this year. I kind of forgot. All I know is we were good. That's all that really matters.
Y'all are always good, though.
We've been surprisingly good for a team down in a warm state.
See that is a good transition too, because how excited are you for the Tom Brady Buccaneers?
So I don't know if I'm super excited about it. I'm kind of in the middle on it. I think. Was I happy about Brady? Yes.
Who wouldn't be?
To an extent, but he's old at the same time. Like my also thought is like there's a little bit of risk to that because like one injury, the man's out.
Yeah, but you gotta understand that
we don't
this
have
man
the best
has
O-line.
not
Well,
been.
we got, kinda,
no, bro, y'all just
we got some good people.
Yeah, y'all
we
just
did.
drafted 3
did.
solid O linemen, and I mean now that you're so lucky that you already had such a good receiving core and that you have Gronk.
We do have a
back
good.
now.
Yeah,
that, dude, y'all are
the fact that Gronk
stacked.
came back is what was like the icing on the cake for that.
Oh, dude.
People were like losing their minds here
Bro.
when it was like Gronk is coming back and he's playing for the Bucks. It was
Gronk's
like
gonna be
what?
down on Clearwater Beach, like doing keg stands and.
Gronk, if you ever hear this, come on the show and let's go get a drink together.
Please, Gronk, we will show you a great time in Tampa. Oh, bro, that's crazy that like we could be downtown and just run into Gronk.
I have a funny story about Gronkowski.
Please do. I have a funny one too, actually.
Not that I wasn't there. But I heard about this story from one of my girls I know. So I guess Gronk visited our college at some point.
That was my story.
So
too.
So Gronk visited our story apparently in the last 2 years, right?
It was this like
past
less
year.
than 6 months ago.
Okay, it was spring.
Yeah,
fall.
Spring basketball.
I wasn't
season.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. And apparently he visited the school and he had some fundraiser, like wine
Mhm.
drink thing at one of the bars that everybody goes to, and one of our girlfriends went and like her friends went, and they lost this one girl, and they found her at the end of the night, and she was like adamant. She was like, I met Gronkowski, like I met, and she
I was like, no, you didn't. No, you
no,
didn't.
and then she, on top of it, she goes, I kissed Gronkowski, and we're like, yeah, okay, you know who he's married to? There's no fucking way you kissed Gronkowski.
I think we just snitched on Rob Gronkowski.
No. She shows us. She shows the picture, and it's his brother.
You kissed the wrong Gronkowski.
That's exactly.
He's got no money.
You kissed the brother, not the real Rob Gronkowski. But it's so funny that the girl was adamant that she kissed Rob Gronkowski, and it's obvious that he's dating a supermodel. Is he really gonna? He's gonna go on a college.
What does Rob Gronkowski's brother look like? I think I've seen him. He looks just like he's just a jacked like alpha, pretty much. Like if I remember him, he's also a football player. I don't know at what level, but yeah, the way I saw him was I was at a basketball game, an FSU basketball game, and I don't even remember if it was like that hyped of a basketball game. I think it was just like a conference opponent. And I remember they're like, all right, everyone stay for the halftime show. We have a special guest. And a lot of time, like, former Seminole players will come out. Like, Jalen Ramsey was out there. And I forget who was it that came. It was another Florida State football player came. And he's out on the court. And they're doing, like, a basketball. Oh, my God.
It had to have been that guy. It had to have been.
It
had to have been.
That's like Gronkowski light. Like, great value Rob Gronkowski.
That's so funny.
That's so funny. But he came out, they're like, and introducing Patriots tight end, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Rob Gronkowski. And I like look at my girlfriend. I'm like, what? And Rob Gronkowski comes towering out onto the basketball court, and he had to do a layup challenge against like an 11-year-old and lost. Like I don't know if he lost on purpose.
I'm assuming he lost on purpose.
Considering he's like a foot from the basket.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a pretty large man, but he's not very nimble. You know what I mean? He's not exactly very dexterous. I guess he is. He's a good route runner, but. I'm like, why is Rob Gronkowski in Tallahassee? This is not like somewhere you just.
Very odd.
It's not like, oh, I'm passing through Tallahassee. Might as well stop by at the basketball
It's definitely
game.
a place you have to kind of go out of your way to go to.
Oh, dude, it might as well be in the middle of nowhere.
Since the airport is literally 100 feet wide.
Oh, dude, yeah, you want a $600 flight to Tallahassee?
Dude,
then.
it's ridiculous. I took a flight from there to Miami once, and it was like $700.
Did you pay for it?
No,
Or
I didn't
it
have
was
to.
a work
It was
trip.
a work thing, but yeah, they flew us.
Bro, from Tallahassee to Greenville, connecting in Atlanta was like $600.
Yes,
like
bro,
that.
it's ridiculous.
I was like,
the
are
amount
y'all
of
sure
money.
you don't want me to drive to
Atlanta and then
drive to
fly
Atlanta
out?
and
Yeah,
then fly? I don't mind.
but yeah, it's out of there. It's out there. It's weird how it's the capital and then there's just nothing.
I feel like that's a lot of states' capitals, though. It's like it had some historical. Dude, you actually want to know why Tallahassee's the capital of Florida? That I found out the other day and kind of blew my mind.
Give us the history.
So the first two cities in Florida were Pensacola Beach and St. Augustine Beach, and they wanted a capital that was perfectly equidistant in between the two, and that's how they arrived on Tallahassee.
They were just like, that looks like a good plot of land. Let's throw
Dude,
a capital
what's
building
crazy is the city was built around the school, pretty much. Like that's why. Have you ever wondered why the school is basically in the epicenter of the city? It's because the school was there before the city was there.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I always just think it's like, I don't know, I think I should move it.
People are like, we don't care.
Yeah. Move on to the next
20,
topic.
20 minutes of FSU talk. So what should we do next? We covered sports are back. That's
we can talk whatever we want, man.
Ooh, all right. How about you want to talk about the stock market today real quick?
I love talking about stock market. I think we could all use some financial literacy in our life.
Yeah, I was telling Jacob and I that was one of the biggest things I wanted to talk about on this podcast is just that I feel like his target market and my target market have, as far as like the branding stuff that I do, have not a lot in common. But the one thing that everyone has in common is that we need to be financially literate. And you're someone that's like on that journey to becoming like financially independent and
yes,
you know what I mean?
I very much am like I have a plan. I have a plan and I know what I want to execute. I know how I want to get there and I'm very cautious with my money. I don't blow a ton for no reason. Very
stingy.
Yeah, people would call me stingy,
I think
I'm sure.
I think stingy kind of has a negative connotation.
Definitely,
You know what I mean?
People don't like to be. I don't like to be called
frugal.
that.
How about
but
frugal?
it's
Is frugal worse than stingy? on the tier
Ugh.
ranking of cheapness?
No, because I think frugal, you're like you pick and choose.
Frugal,
Frugal's
it's
like
like
very- you're
you
pick
know
and
the
choosy.
like value of what you're spending your money. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. Like I'm very aware of like I go out and eat a lot. I like to go out and eat, and I'll get
Yeah,
some
you do.
drinks. But like
You like to
that's
drink sweet tea.
that's about my guilty pleasure.
Bro,
sweet
what do you
tea.
think your annual sweet tea budget is? Because if you're buying like almost 2 large sweet teas a day, I know you don't do that every day, but you're dropping.
I've cut it back. Extremely.
That's cutting it back.
I've cut it back a lot. I used to do a lot of sweet tea.
I used to do a lot. Like it sounds like you're.
I used to drink a
shooting
lot
it
of
up.
sweet tea, man. I used to love it. I still do love it. I have to control it, but now that what I found is like when I'm working out, when I go to the gym and I'm working out consistently,
Mhm.
I'm making myself drink a lot more water because that's what's needed.
Yeah.
So my water intake is going up. I don't necessarily crave sugar as much. So I don't have as much.
Yeah, 100%.
So for me, going to the gym is freaking awesome because not only am I getting in shape, I'm getting sugar out of my body too.
You want to eat healthy.
I want to eat healthier. I want to drink only water, and I try to only limit myself to like 1 or 2 teas a day.
Yeah.
Because but like, that's better than what I was doing,
I know,
which is
I know.
like,
It's just so. I mean, everyone has their vice. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Everyone has their vice, and there's definitely varying degrees of like badness. That what do you?
I just noticed on the camera that my hands look really.
You're like a T.
they
You're
look-
like a
they
T
look
Rex
really-
just hanging. in
Look,
there.
look at my arm. Okay,
Yeah.
with the lighting, looks really, really pale.
Oh yeah. That happens. It's the
Like,
it's,
really
It's a nice
pale.
studio. It's a nice. I wish we could pan around the camera and show everyone the studio lighting, but it's what y'all have set up in here is honestly crazy. Like y'all have the biggest thing, obviously besides consistency, the biggest thing that separates. I mean, I think I sent you that graph or whatever. It was like the average podcast lasts 14 episodes or something like that.
It was 7.
7 episodes, and once you break through like that barrier of entry, and consistency just becomes like a normal part of your schedule.
Yeah.
That's like you're already in the top 5% of all podcasts.
It's really weird and yeah, it's a weird stat, but that's the facts. Yeah.
I feel like that's how kind of anything is in life. It's just people are willing to try stuff, but consistency is like one of the biggest skills, and it's like it's more like discipline than anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you have to have the mindset and like the discipline of like if your buddies are going out, you have to have the discipline of like, oh no, today's the day I'm supposed to like email 5 people to try to get somebody on the show or whatever, whatever it may be. It might be this is my day I'm supposed to fill orders if you're a small business.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that discipline to get that shit to grow. Otherwise it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you're in your 20s, I mean, it's kind of hard finding that work-life balance. But I mean, the way I see it is you'll be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor later in life, and like you'll never have more energy and more passion than you do in your 20s. Like your 20s should be for creating, you know what I mean, and building the foundation. Obviously, you should enjoy your life.
You should have fun too. However that is, you want to have
Yeah.
fun. That's the other thing is like I think a lot of people. There's tons of people that want to work a regular 9 to 5 and go out on the weekends and have fun on the weekends.
Yeah.
That's fine. I want to work my ass off and then travel here and there and then
exactly.
hopefully not have to work as much by the time I'm 40. You know,
It's kind of funny how your goal now is to travel as much as possible so that when you make it financially, you can just travel all the time. Like that's the goal, right? Is just to be able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and have no one be your boss.
I think that's anyone's goal in general, but
It's freedom.
the issue is a lot of people fall into that trap of like,
the rat
well,
race.
I have to go 9 to 5. Like that's
Yeah.
they don't know another way. They don't
Not that
see
that's
another
bad.
way. Not
It's
that
just-
that's not
It's
some people like that consistency and like that fact of like, oh, I have a steady paycheck coming in every time, which is totally fine. I get that. I mean, technically right now I'm kind of like that too because it's like I'm
and we
broke.
both are.
I'm either gonna be broke or not.
Yeah.
So it might as well not be broke. And
It's a stepping stone towards like financial independence.
and that's the other way if you can look at it too. That's how I see it. I see it as yes, I'm gonna put my time in and save up money and invest it well or use it for this and that and by the time that's over with, we have the chance to grow this thing. And once this has gotten big enough, as long as you're consistently doing your other stuff on the side, it'll come in time.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I think a lot. And that's the other thing that people don't understand not only is it discipline, it's also the patience to just ride it out. Like a lot of people want like
instant gratification.
I want to have 25,000 followers in a year.
Not gonna happen.
More than likely, it's not. Let's
It's
be real. That
exponential growth.
there's
It compounds on itself.
yeah, and let's not to hate on some people because there is some people that have grown.
Yeah,
like
some people blow up. Some people just blow up
one
overnight,
post and
yeah.
they've blown up and it's over and they're done. But the majority of people are
Yeah.
never gonna get that.
You don't go in expecting that.
You should
because
never
You're
expect
just you're just gonna sell yourself short. It's
selling is short.
like I told you. I said my goal for I just started that new Twitter account. My goal for in 9 months is to have 1,000 followers, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's once you get to that point where it's just like I was talking about you, like in the stock market. It's like 10% of $200 isn't a lot of money, but that same 10% of $200,000 is a lot of money.
I mean, that's how I look at like my social medias and stuff. It's like when I look at the growth thing and I look at like, oh, I gained this, because you can go and look at your insights.
Yeah,
You can see what it is. So I look at it and it's like, all right, I got this many followers this week, but like let's just use an example. 100 followers. Let's say you get 100 followers a week you're averaging, which no one is if they start from zero.
Yeah,
because obviously
that's
you
a
start
lot.
at zero and you have to get up to that somehow. But 100 followers a week is freaking phenomenal. And if you keep doing that, the way you have to look at it is
5,200 followers.
5,200 followers in a year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's and then think about what like if you're growing at
400
if you're
people a
growing at a
month.
4% rate, then you just compound that on the 5,200
Yeah, and it just
followers
keeps going
you got.
and just keeps going and just,
And it's just
yeah.
you just got to put out content that people like.
I mean,
and
even
it's-
if and let's take the compounding out of it. Let's just say if it was 100
yeah, even if it
and
was
it
only
stayed
5,200
100
static
static,
every year,
you're
yeah.
gonna get to 10K in 2 years.
Yeah,
But you have to have the patience to let that happen.
yeah, and you gotta stay consistent with the content, and you just gotta. It's really as simple as that's kind of what everything comes down to in life is just providing value to people. You know what I mean? If you have something to say that's valuable, people will listen. And it's like you have something that people can apply to their life. And it's obviously it's great to have a perfect niche in something and to have this super narrow target market where you have a monopoly and you're the only one creating content. But even in something that you or me are doing, there's plenty of stuff out there already, and you can't get bogged down by the fact that there's just so much info out there that like your stuff's gonna get drowned out. Like you still gotta, you know what I mean? You still gotta make content.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the biggest thing too is like taking advantage of the situations you can. Like for me with the coronavirus, yes, it sucked. I did not want to be inside, and obviously, there's tons of stuff to go along with that. But I knew everybody was inside, so I took kind of as best advantage as I could of that. Of
grind,
of reaching out to as many people as possible to like, hey, you're free now. Let's see if you can come on, or just in general, like posting more content than usual because it's like people are at home, they have nothing to do. I gotta put something. I gotta put stuff out there because you never know. Again, you never know. You can't go into thinking like, oh, I'm gonna blow up from this video, but like, dude, you never know what video might take you
be
to
the
that
one,
level.
the one that just pops.
Exactly.
That's the thing is a lot of people are gonna spend this quarantine sitting at home eating snacks and watching Netflix, and not that that's necessarily the worst thing to do.
Absolutely.
But you really gotta think about is you only have so much time in life, and especially the time that's separate from your job. And it's like what you do during the weekends. I mean, what you do during your week is important, but it's really what you're doing on your weekends. Like if you're working on your side hustle on the weekends, that's the time that separates you from everybody else. It's like you want to be better, you want to make more, you got to put in more. You got to create more value, you got to put in more effort, and all of that comes down to like time invested and just consistency. And that's what's dope with what you're doing with the podcast is that you've stuck with it, and it's like. I mean,
it was a rocky start.
Yeah, everything is. You know what I mean?
I remember I did the first one. It took me like 2 months to get that finally like feel like all right, I'm ready to do it. And finally, I remember I was doing it. I finally like was just like fuck it, I'm doing it one. And I just did one.
Yeah.
And I put it out there, and I like remember texting my buddy who had originally told me like, Jacob, why don't you have one? And I was like, I don't think I would. And finally, when I did it, I was like, yo, dude, I just did my first one. He was like, see, there you go. But then like it's funny, like it took me another 2 months to do like the next one. Like it wasn't comfortable. I was like, I don't know what I wanted to do it.
I know what you
and when
mean.
I finally did it, the second one, I like was like, all right, I got this. And then I just started hammering them out every week as best I could.
It's hard to put yourself out there. It really is. You know what I mean? Like it seems like everyone in their mind, like you watch stuff on social media, you watch people make content. Everyone thinks I can do that better myself. Well, it's like then go do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to actually put like thoughts and ideas are great. I have a shit ton of ideas, but if you don't have any action to catalyze those ideas, they're worthless.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So that's like the difference. Think about how many people were sitting around fucking around with their friends like, oh, yo, we could have a podcast. We could have a skit show. Like, we're pretty funny. But then how many of those people actually went out and bought the audio equipment, bought the cameras, went and sat down and coordinated with their friends?
I mean, that's the other thing is, like, you don't necessarily need the audio equipment and all that.
It
It definitely makes
gotta-
it better. But you would, to start it, you could literally just start with your phone. And then you could move forward with that.
Something.
It's something.
It's better. Like, I love that saying where it's like the best day to start was yesterday. The second best day to start is today. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
I like that. I kind of want to write that down.
It's
write that
because
down.
I mean, I always think that to myself because I'll get in like these kind of like self-defeating prophecies where I'm like, oh, I didn't go to the gym yesterday, so like my whole week that I had planned out for like my workout schedule was thrown off. So I might as well just say fuck it to the rest of the week. But then you go, no, I'm not going to let myself get into that cycle of fucking negativity and like non-productivity. You just go and do it. You start the new cycle today, and it's like it never even happened. You feel good. You just like, and it's hard because like I consider myself pretty intrinsically motivated, but even there's times where there's days that go by where I'm just like, I don't feel like doing shit. Like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like posting content to Twitter. I don't feel like doing my schoolwork.
I mean, to be very honest with you, like I think everybody has those. I don't post every day. I try to, but there's that in the last couple of weeks there's been days where it's like I need a break for just the day to not post.
It's healthy to have
and
days
as long
off
as
too.
it is absolutely just like we were saying, like, it's important to keep working during the quarantine. In the same sense, if you're busting your ass, if you've been busting your ass for the last year, and then now you have this break where you can work at home, fuck yeah, take the break for the month. I get it. I would get it. I mean, there's especially if you can do your work at home and relax and all that, and you don't usually get that opportunity to relax.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, take it. I'm not gonna sit here and say you have to work or we should keep working, blah blah blah.
Grind,
but it's important that you have to come to that realization of yourself of what works for you.
Yeah. How much does this mean to me? Like,
how much does it mean to me? What
can
do
it do
I
for
value? How do I want to do my breaks? Like, and all that really matters is you. If you think you can work for a full year and never take a break, then work for a full year and never take a break. If you think you want to work hard for a month, take a week off. Work hard for a month, take a week off, then do that. Like, there's no set system, but there is a set system of hard work behind it.
Oh, for sure.
Whatever you decide, it has a foundation of hard work and many hours put in. But then on the upside is that you can take what time off you want when you put in that much hard work.
Yeah. I mean, the most successful people I know work 4-hour work days, 5 days a week. And it's just because they've just got it down to such a fine science that it's like work smarter, not harder. They've put in the groundwork and they've laid the foundation for their business, their hustle, their brand, whatever it is. And now it's just like, you know what to do. You've got whatever that path. And I guess that's the biggest thing that I want people to take away from this is that your job is great, and it's great that you're working that job, but everyone needs some sort of passive income, some sort of side income to supplement, because you're truly financially independent the day your passive income exceeds your expenses. When you can cover all of your living expenses with passive, like different revenue streams of income, you're truly financially free because every hour you have now is just extra. You know what I mean? Like you can create, you can do whatever you want, you can work on yourself, and that's just we get stuck into the cycle where we think that the best way to make money is to trade my time for money. And in reality, that's the worst way to make money because money in itself is almost infinite and your time is very finite. So it's more so that once you realize that when you create value for people and you can set your own wages and you can make money based on the amount of effort you put in, you look at time-based jobs and you're limiting me saying that I can only make $15, $20, $25, $30, even $40 an hour when I could go out and make money while I sleep. I wake up you might wake up in the morning and you made money while you slept. And then once it's like that's the red pill.
It's like today we woke up in the stock market, we were like,
that's the
thing. What the heck is going on?
It's the red.
That's only part of it too.
It's the red pill because I mean, obviously there's losing days too. It's not like you just put money in and it grows and grows and grows. I mean,
correct.
It goes up and down, but it's just the fact that multiple streams of income really is the way to get it, to avoid the rat race and to stop being. You don't want to be working for someone else and some dude that can come up to you and say you're fired, like your life is screwed now. When you're 55, 60 years old, like all of us, especially people in this community, I've seen so many like talented, creative people that have so much value they could provide for the world. They just need to learn how to monetize it, you know, and turn it into something that they can mobilize. And it's kind of hard to say exactly how that's going to be for everyone because it's different for everyone. But like what you're doing with this podcast is just the perfect example of saying you could be fine with your job. You know what I'm saying? You got a good job. You could say, I'm going to sit here, collect my paycheck, cover my expenses, all that stuff. But you want to go above and beyond because you don't want average. You know what I mean? You want to be.
No, I don't want. I can't even see you. I'm trying to set up the Instagram live.
we got like six different streaming.
You're not even in it.
Just do it on the
Oh, he's got the thing up there.
You're the tech guy. That's probably enough about finance for now. I think we've gone on our little spiel. We've gone on our little
I'm not even gonna go Instagram. Fuck that.
right.
You know, well,
Do you
sort
have,
of.
you have any
You know,
last thoughts?
No. I think we really hammered hard on the fact about like working hard and doing stuff that you can do to grow yourself. What I want to do, not today. I think I think we just ended it on the fantastic note. I think we call it right there and there. But I want to have you back on and do maybe an episode where we do talk finances.
Yeah, like in depth, like we
in
get
depth,
into
and we
the
talk
weeds.
about maybe we do a small series. Like maybe we'll do a small mini series of finances and stuff.
That'd be cool.
Get you your own podcast guy.
Under the
conglomerate. That's the joke of the weekend.
Yeah,
But for a real note, I would love to do that more and go more in depth because we give a very broad synopsis of like this is what you could do.
Yeah, that's.
But for a lot of people, they hear that and they go, "Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I want to do that," and then they don't know where to start or where to begin.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people, and I'm not knocking that down. I didn't know. I had to have someone tell me.
That's how I learned too. It's
Exactly.
Not like I wasn't born knowing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we'll have to plan that out and maybe do a financial mini series or something.
I'd love to come back in the stew anytime you'd like to have me.
Oh, all the time. You're always welcome. Anyways, with that note, we're gonna log off here. Peace.